Hey guys, Mike here. So, boy, what a rebound yesterday in the market, and then we talked about Thursday. A lot of stuff was coming into what? Some critical levels. They had to bounce, or it was going to be, pretty bad. Coals and all the stockings. And so, shockingly, we got a bounce. That actually comes into one of our questions we had today about pullbacks. And this person talking about how they focus on more percentages, but maybe need to focus on other things. And yes, you definitely need to focus on some other things. We're going to point out. You see in my nightly videos or members videos, I've gone over these things, but yeah, don't focus on the percentage unless you get to past 10%. Then you go, ooh, now we're in correction, right? But we're going to go over those things as well. We'll also talk about the looming government shutdown, which might surprise you how the market reacts during the government shutdown. If you remember when President Trump shut the government down during Christmas all the way into, I believe it was like January 22nd or something. And so you might be very surprised, but again, past behavior predicts future behavior. So how the market reacted then definitely could react the same way. So again, we're going to have to see if this move up on Friday will be carried out on Monday, or do we get one more low end to shake everybody out? And don't forget, when it comes to the Christmas holidays going into New Year's, it's going to be low volume, and we've seen low volume melt-ups before. All right? Remember Thanksgiving holidays, okay? Now, starting with the first one, feel free to participate. Appreciate all the questions. They're really good ones. Andrew says, I see we hit extreme fear today, but percentage-wise, not a huge pullback on indexes from the top. Am I looking at pullbacks all wrong? I've always gauge them by how big of a percentage drop, but should I be putting more consideration into things like fear indexes, percentage of stocks below their moving averages for times to buy? And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. I like looking at sentiment and breadth and all this fun stuff, but it's a lot of different things. You can't just take one thing or two things. You can melt them all together. So yes, are we in extreme fear? Yes, we are. No doubt about that right there. I told you about the breadth, the stocks below the 50 moving average. When anything gets to extremes, whether it's too high, too low, you're usually going to get these bounces, whether they're dead cat bounces or not. That's what we'll see. This is stocks below the 50-day moving average. I just have a line on mine. You can play around with this, but normally when you get below here, especially if you're in an absolute like raging bull market, then you can see normally you get bounces. And this is the crash. This is the 2022 crash. But you see when we got below there, there was dead cat bounces, right? And then we started going on the big run, okay, starting really in March 2023. And every time we get below there, you see a nice move up. And of course, if you look where we're at, that's where we're at. We're at 19, okay? That doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Doesn't mean anything like that. Like I said, never put anything past this market. The fun thing about it is the line on top. If you're in a raging bull market, a lot of times when it hits that, sometimes you'll see a decent pullback, but most of the time you don't even get to see a great pullback, which is kind of crazy. You look over here and compare this. These lines match up. So if you're looking at the line on the right, the line on the left is moving, and so just kind of, you can correlate these if you want to, but you can see right there, I mean, and that's where we're at now, and we're getting the bounce, right? Will it hold? That's what we're going to have to see. We kind of figure what we do is mitigate probably half maybe of that huge daily fair value gap. And so that's basically what we've done so far. We'll see if that's going to hold. But again, what you're looking at is not percentages. You know, use some fibs, right? Use levels for sure. I mean, just start putting all this stuff together. You can see we came down that gap, which I talked about on Thursday, but here's the kicker. You may think it only touched it. No, this is why you always got to pull up ETH, extending trading hours, okay? See, we came down, we filled about half of it. You see that right there? And sometimes you'll see that where it'll fill about half of a gap and then bounce. We actually came down to the golden pocket and bounce. So we're in a discount. Does it mean it's going to hold? Doesn't mean it has to hold. But again, huge move down, sometimes it equals huge move up. And so again, that's about half of that gap right there. And so when you look at that, along with the fact you're in a discount, along with the fact I showed you different levels, we pulled up the VR, VPN, the volume range, volume profile, showed you that as well. And so, you know, that's just stuff I look at. You look at it, it's really, I mean, it's 4.74% total, right? Who cares about the percentage? Now, if you get below 10, maybe then you start talking about, ooh, that's correction territory. But I don't really look at the percentage part of it. I look at all this other stuff, moving averages, all that. I mean, if you put that all in there, you'll see a lot of confluence, and that's what you want to be looking at, okay? So I hope that helps. Next one here says, hey, Mike, question on Saturday's video. Everyone has been using the term liquidation recently. Can you explain what that means? Absolutely, I can. Liquidation is a very simple term. When you sell a position, you just liquidated that position. Now, what you saw the other day was people voluntarily liquidated their positions, but also you saw a whole lot of accounts get liquidated involuntarily. It's called margin call and everything else. You see this a lot in crypto. When you see big moves down in a short amount of time in cryptos, because a lot of people are using leverage. They're using 3x, 10x leverage, all this stuff, and they're over leveraged. And so, boom, you see a flash move down. their accounts are roasted, okay, and they're just boom, they're totally taken out. And so that when you see an index go down 3 to 5% in one session, yeah, a lot of people are involuntarily getting liquidated right there. That's what's happening, okay? So, you know, again, a lot of this has to do with the options market, the fact this was the biggest OPEX ever. The VAX, it was VIX expiration that day. What did you see the VIX do? Spike like 45% or something like that. And so a lot of it had to do with that. Remember, the options market, it basically runs the market anyway. So a lot of that is. So if you ever see a day like that, that's what's happening. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's a very simple thing. And people try to make it sound overcomplicated. It's not. Okay, as soon as you close out a position, you liquidated your position. It's that simple. All right. Now, next here says when to buy TLT next level. I'm telling you right now, it's not about a level on TLT. It really isn't. I mean, you can look at this and I'll circle these lows for you right there. There's one. There's one right there too. It just has nothing to do with that, man. Right now, it's about the timing. You can see right there, I mean, that is a downward trend, right? But more importantly, it just has to do with where are we at, right? Understand TLT. Again, I've showed you many times how the 10-year yield, if it's roaring, if the 30-year yields are all this stuff roaring on bonds, TLT is not going to do very good. Okay, that's just the way it is. And if we pull up the 10-year, you see what I'm talking about. Inverse relationship. What has the 10-year been doing? It's been roaring up higher. It's been crushing TLT. Now, you saw that trend line come back into play. It got rejected once again. We'll take this away. We'll go over here and I'll show you. When you're looking at big moves on TLT, and by the way, when I say big moves, it's not like you're going to see a Tesla move, okay? It's going to be during a recession. It's going to be during really bad times. That's a 40% move in 08. Remember how bad 08 was? So you probably don't get that in the next one, right? Because that was a terrible, terrible recession. Okay, everybody was losing their homes and stuff. Here, same thing. But I guarantee you see this kind of stuff right here, I'll guarantee you the 10-year is going in the toilet. Guaranteed. And that's what's going to be happening. So it's not so much you just need to be watching the 10-year to see if it's going to be rejected. More importantly, what do you think is going to happen down the road? You know, because you can keep loading up on it. But again, like I said before, a long time ago, I said you'll see some blips, a couple moves here and there. But if you're looking for that big move, it's when the recession happens. And what's happened now? The yield curves are both uninverted, which normally in past history has always led to a recession. But it can take months. It can maybe take weeks, but we'll have to see. Right? And so that's what I'm going to say about TLT. Keep DCN in if you like to. All that fun stuff, but it's when bad things happen. That's when you're going to see TLT absolutely rocket up, okay? Now, next one here says, thanks, Mike. Can you break down this government shutdown with Elon Musk? And yes, I can. It's this simple. So some stuff came out. Elon Musk basically is being called like the head of the Republican Party now because when they tried to get the spending bill passed, Donald Trump actually supported the latest one from Mike Johnson, but Elon did not. And so a lot of Republicans, actually I should say 38 Republicans bucked Trump and they voted against it. So that killed it. Also Democrats voted against it as well. So both parties voted against it. People were surprised to see that many Republicans vote against it once Trump backed it, right? Because, I mean, he is the incoming president, so you think they want to be a little smarter. But no, and they both gave their reasons. And so Republican rebels objected as they opposed increase in government spending, while Democrats voted against them because they said the extra borrowing will be used to give tax cuts to the wealthy. Well, Elon says shutting down the government, which doesn't actually shut down critical functions, by the way, is infinitely better than passing a horrible bill. Which, with him saying that, I mean, look, I ain't even looked at the bill. Most spending bills are garbage to begin with. They're just trying to negotiate this stuff out. But understand, I don't even care if they shut down the government. All you got to do, here's your homework, go back to 2008. President Trump shut down the government from, I think it was December 18th to January 22nd. I forgot what it was all over or anything. But look at what the market did, guys. Look at what it did. Went up like 10%. I mean, seriously. That's why Tom Lee came out yesterday and said, yeah, I'd be buying this thing. Because usually, if for whatever reason, when government shutdowns are going to happen, and when wars break out, the market just goes up. Okay, it's kind of interesting to see. But again, I don't mean it has to happen. But in the past, that's what you've seen. So we'll see what happens on that one. Next here, this one was asked by 3 different people. Can you show a video to which volume profile you chose and how to set it up? I can definitely do that. And Mark says, hey, Mike, what do you use to get that volume profile for the daily charts? And Jim says, hey there, new sub, learn about the IWM and 10-year link from you. Thanks for that. Tool noob question, but how do you get the blue and gold indicators on right of the SPY chart to show up on TradingView? So here we go, guys. We're going to look at this right here. Got my SPY up. I'm just going to go to indicators, type in VRVP, which is volume range, volume profile. Here's how it's going to come up when you click on that. Now, I already had this, And so when I go into mine, and you can use any settings you want. I don't know why I doubt these settings. They've been there so long. But when I go into settings, you can see what I got, right? So the width, I think I got at 30. You can mess with your colors. I'm colorblind. I don't care. And then over here, row size 50, volume area is 100. I think one of my members turned me on to this, I believe, is how I got this. And I just liked it. It worked out for me. So that's how I use it. You can clearly see levels. Again, we pointed these out in videos. You can see where the volume gaps are at. And so that's how I use it. You know, feel free if you have problems looking at where support is and everything, it's kind of points it out for you, as you can see right there. And so hopefully that helps out for everybody who, you know, wants to see that. I still got to do I guess a members video on this one and some others, but so hopefully that helps out. So you can see, but what I like about this is you can clearly see when we hit a volume gap, it flies. That's what you saw on Friday, right? And you saw IWM when it was crashing down, when it hit a volume gap, it would just drop like a rock. Look where it came in and support at. Look at that. Boom, where'd it bounce? Right there. You know what I'm saying? And look how it flew. Once it started coming up, it just flew up in there. And so then once it hits the next tree branch, I like to call them, that's going to be your resistance. If it gets through that, bam, they'll be moving up. You saw it on Abgo. Matter of fact, I pointed out Thursday. So if it gets in this gap, see you later. And it had a big move up on Friday. So we'll see if all these hold. So hopefully that helps out. I appreciate all the questions, guys. And I will be putting Sunday's video out to set up the market for you guys. Probably a video on Monday. No video on Tuesday. It's a half day. Wednesday's Christmas. We're closed for business. Thursday, we'll see. I'll probably put one out because I want to see if we start to go on this push up. So I really want to see. And then Friday, I don't ever do a video, but I will have Saturday's video with your questions on there, and then Sunday to set everything up for the next week, which I forgot what the days are, how many half days or 4 days we're open, but we'll see and stuff. So hopefully that helps out everybody. Appreciate you answering the questions. Feel free to participate and answer some of those questions. If I did not or I missed something, I always appreciate that. Thank you for all the comments and everything. I do read them all, even if I don't have a chance to respond to you. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you tomorrow.